Surprise, surprise, I'm live. For the first time in a couple weeks, I'm sure. I don't know, I'm not keeping track. Are you keeping score? So something that I've been sitting with today, actually I haven't been sitting still whatsoever. I've been active, I've been getting shit done because, you know, there's a whole lot of life to be lived in these times. And I'm sure that a lot of people have been feeling disturbed from the inside out, because isn't that what's really going on around the world? What's really going on within? You know, everything that we see outside of ourselves, everything is a reflection of what's going on within us. There is nothing that you don't see outside of yourself that isn't a reflection mirroring back to you the internal workings of you. Surprise, surprise. This I have learned from personal experience, because that is only what I know. And we typically only see what we know, only know what we see. Which came first, the seeing or the knowing? Is it a feeling? Is it a sensation? Can you put your thumb on it? Can you put your finger on it? Can you identify it? Did we know before we were born that we would be living this life? See, I personally believe, because in my life, I have always been somewhat tapped in and aware since I was a child. And to explain that, I haven't really talked about it a lot in my life. A lot of people talk about awakenings. When was your awakening? What was that like for you? I don't identify with the average casual awakener, because I've always known deep within me. But I didn't go running around talking about it. I didn't go around saying, oh, this is my connection to source, to spirit, to God. It's something that I always cherished and held within me, that long before I went to parochial and Catholic schools, I just remember that deep connection, that sensation that there is a higher power, that it is something within me and outside of me and all around me. Like, it's not a separation. But I have to admit that through the conditioning, through life, because when life gets a hold of you, it presumes to define you. It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? We have all been defined. We have all been conditioned, engineered, if you do dare say, because we are all machines, robots in some sort of way. Animations of the divine, avatars, individual expressions of the greater source, the greater knowing, the void. We all come from and return to source, to the point of origin, the 0 point. There's so many names for it, but see, that's where we get so caught up in this labeling, naming, explaining, expressing, understanding. FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of not knowing. Why people connect on the devices, why people turn on a television. Look for social media, some form of medium. Media is an expression of the medium, which is a channeling, which is a divine programming. It's either you're being programmed or you're programming, or you are the channel or being channeled. See, we live in a dualistic, polarized existence. It's quite fascinating when you really sit with it. But you know that duality is the trap. The choosing this or that. The good or the bad. The evil, the divine. Opposites attract, didn't you know that? And you know why? Because it's the yin and the yang that creates the whole. It's the plus and the minus that is the nucleus combination. You can't have a whole without both sides. Think about that. So many of us want to choose our happiness, but deny our pain when they're one and the same. The two are what make up you. That every experience that you've had has navigated you. You know, you lean one side, you lean to the other. Pendulum swinging. You have experiences that guide you. Well, I like this or I don't like that, so I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go that way. We're always being moved based on duality. But based on this polarization that we have to choose something over another. And when you choose something, you also deny something. It's a push comes to shove. Isn't that ironic? You're either being pulled or you're being pushed. You're being magnetized or gravitized. Distanced or pulled together. The energy that you put in to resist or comply is equal. You go along to get along. Does it resonate with your soul, though? That's the question. People fail to recognize there is a third option, the neutral. And the sages and a lot of gurus, and it's hidden in the text. It's hidden from the knowing, unless you are willing to know. I started this out talking about awakening because I've often been asked, what was your first spiritual awakening? When did you know? Since I was a child. And over the course of time, I know that I was programmed and conditioned, and it was confusing because my natural naivete is to be in love. And that's everyone, every single one of us. Again, the duality, the pendulum swinging. We're taking off our course. That our own soul knowing, when we are suffering the most, it's because we're not following the course and the flow of our soul. The true disconnect is with the heart and soul within you. You can go along to get along, but your heart and soul knows. And the body is always telling on the mind. So when it's incongruent and not in integrity, in alignment with you, your heart and soul, your truth, your knowing, that's what results in dis-ease. You don't need a scientist, you don't need a doctor to listen within and stop going without. All the noise, all the distraction, all the chatter outside of you keeps you from what you have right inside, with you always. Your heart and soul is here, within you. It's a part of you. Nobody can take that from you without your permission. Isn't that the irony, that where we're at in society, where we're at as a culture, where we're at in the world, is very similar to the ancient past lost civilizations, the ones we hear about that just poof, they were at the height of their knowing, their technology, their advancements, and it just poof, just went away. Why do you think that is? Did you ever stop to think it was the ignorance and the lack of appreciation and the lack of balance and harmony within them, individually as well as collectively? That when we get to the precipice of where the collective, the consciousness of humanity is at such an all-time high, when the forces around us that have been controlling the narrative, controlling the existence, running the show, because it is all the world's a stage, when they feel threatened because their existence is about to be extinguished, they try to put out the flames of humanity, of consciousness. I've spoken about it. I had my TikTok taken down because I started speaking about this. That last year when all of this happened, 18 plus months ago, certain forces noticed, because there was a huge awakening occurring on the planet. I know because I was around it and I was feeling it. I was excited for the new year. There were some crazy startings out of last year, 2020, clear vision, crystal clear for me. But ironically, didn't they pull the wool over the eyes of many a sheep who are still, in some cases, asleep? But many, you can only suppress the soul for so long. A person can only be in their discomfort and their dis-ease for so long before the agitation, irritation, inflammation, the rage from within, that's all that is. The soul screaming like, come the fuck on, wake up, buddy. If you're not living, what are you here for? What is your purpose? If you're just following the rules and going along to get along and just going through the motions, what is the purpose of life for you? Did you truly lose sight of your own soul? Don't you know you are important, that you have something deep within you that each and every one of us craves and desires for you to express? Each and every one of us came here to be a bigger part of what is going on. No matter how small you may feel, you obviously have a role if you're listening. It's a powerful time, my personal opinion. Finding out that the stories we've been told, his story has been one big lie, sprinkled with some truths here or there. That there are many lost civilizations that we really don't know the truth of what happened to them. Why did we have world's fairs with these elaborate cities constructed and torn down within days? Somebody explain that. You don't think we had technology way far more advanced than we have now? Free energy, sources of freedom, which we should be already living with. Nobody should be without the basic necessities of water, clean water that is, electricity, food, grown from the earth, not processed and man-made, a roof over your head. These are the basic necessities, but yet the majority of people are struggling daily, month to month, just to make by and just to have the ends meet, to be able to live. They're surviving. It's not thriving, and that's what's wrong right now. We should all be thriving, not survival. No, thrival. But the basic common thread is, oh, I'm getting by. I'm surviving. You know, you hear it in conversations if you really listen. Are you coming from the I am thriving mode, or are you coming from surviving mode? And you can hear it when people say things like, well, you know, I'm getting by. Or I'm doing exceptionally well. You know, this past 18 months has been a major life change for every single one of us. And I know major life change is like death. And if you don't understand that death also brings a mourning, a loss, grieving, the waves of emotions that come through of something's missing, what is wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. Your life was basically turned upside down, every single one of us in some way, shape, or form. And in some cases good, in some cases extremely bad. I mean, it's all over the charts for each and every one of us. Whether you chose it, many didn't. Because often when you don't choose it for yourself, it's chosen for you. I've known this many times in my life. That when you keep trying to get by and you're in survival mode, the rug can be pulled out from underneath you at any time. I know when I was in Italy and I lost that job, I literally felt like the rug was pulled out from underneath me, and I was like, okay. And I've really sat with so many different epiphanies just based on that experience, to be able to witness what's going on with humanity and how people don't understand that when something major in your life has changed, everything from your daily habits, your routines, to being forced to get by with technology because you're told that's the only way to communicate with people. Sometimes that's the only way to get to your doctor. Isn't that crazy? Even if you weren't addicted to the technology, you were forced to use it as your lifeline, your connection. And then the addiction came. This is just one small example. And with the addiction comes what we call cold depression, information overload, the toxicity of this narrow-minded focus. Because when all you got is this black screen, all you've gotten is this technology, and you're running to it to find out what's the latest news, because our culture is addicted to doom and gloom. That we want to be told how things are instead of walking out the front door and just looking around and knowing that everything's going to be okay. I have been disengaging as much as I can, more and more, and let me tell you why. Because for my own personal mental health and for the collective, because I know how powerful I am as a master manifester, that what I focus on, it grows. Where attention goes, energy flows. And the more you hold it in your mind, in your eyes, you hear it, you say it, you speak it into existence. You're casting a spell, people. These are words. And it is all tools of creating your reality. Thoughts become words, words become things. And, it is all connected. We're being fed through our senses information. We are influenced, whether we want to admit it, own it, or not. This technology has us all captivated. It has us so connected, we are disconnected. And most importantly, we are disconnected from our own hearts and souls, from one another. We think we know one another through these devices, and we're not even scratching the surface. When you see news, you're just seeing a microscopic, inflamed and enraged and blown out of proportion. Because is it really true? We don't know. But if you get enough people focused on the same topic, the same news media, on the source, the information that they're telling you, where attention goes, energy flows, and the more people you have entertained and entertrained and engaged, FOMO, fear of missing out, the more they're feeding. We're all feeding the same narrative, the same fight, flight, freeze, or fawn stress response. And when we're in the stress response, the trauma response, we're addicted to knowing. We're actually feeding the doom and the gloom that we claim that we don't like, that we aren't looking away from. It's like when you go to a movie and you have your hands in front of your face, you're like, no, I don't want to see the blood and gore, but you're still looking. You're still fucking looking. You really want to see change? Walk the fuck away. Sorry, I'm cursing, but I'm trying to make a point here. You really want to see things come crashing down? Walk away from all this technology. Can you do it? Can you do it for a week? Once again, duality is a trap. You're choosing this or that is the problem. You thinking you have to take a side on anything is the problem. They know. And they don't want you to know. Their need to feed on your energy depends upon you being entertained and entertained and engaged so deeply that you can't see that whether you're for or against something, you're feeding it all. You're feeding the same machine. You want to take bricks out of the wall instead of putting another brick in the wall? Stop choosing. It's like, just drop it. Let it dissolve. They need you. They need to feed on you. We don't feed on them. We don't need them. Yes, I can be general about it. It's a lot easier. You know what awakening is? Is recognizing the game being played and perpetrated and not playing into it and paying into it. Let's try being the victors for a change. Let's play better. When you know better, you can do better. And the real truth is walking away is the name of the game. Because when you walk away from the players, they're the ones left empty-handed. When you're fighting them or complying with them, they're winning. They win either way. Don't you get it? This is profound enough for me to sit here and go, I know I don't expect everyone to see it or connect the dots the way I have all throughout my life, and especially over this past year. Sure, I fell prey to wanting to take a side and get patriotic and stand up, and yeah, I see what's going on. But I don't want to see that, not because I want to ignore it, because I don't want to feed it. There's the difference. Empowerment is knowing what's going on, but not complying or fighting. Knowing that the only way to beat the system is to leave the system, is to create a new one. Anybody want to join that train? Anybody want to actually engage with me on that one? Have conversations around what's the solution and how we're going to start anew? We're not here to fix the old. Again, that's like, doing the same definition of crazy, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We're so far and so deep in this shit, we can't see our way out of it. And we think we're going to save ourselves by fighting it? Are you kidding me? You got to start all over. We got a whole lot of technology and a whole lot of foundation of intelligence and creative hearts and souls, innovators, inventors. Come on. Who out there is with me on this? Are you dedicated to the old, or are you willing to let go and devote yourself to the new? It really is a pivotal time in history. We're at the same crossroads many civilizations faced. Atlantis, Lemuria, Tartaria, all these highly civilized, even more aware, I'm sure, though there are all these catastrophic events that were orchestrated to suppress, to hide, and to keep us from knowing what really truly exists within us. So let's talk about spiritual awakening. Who out there is waking up to the discomfort within you, knowing that something outside of you is just not right? How long do you think this has been going on within you? How many of you out there have some chronic illness, chronic disease within you that you don't even realize it's the eating from the inside out? Cancers. Every chronic inflammation, everything is, the root is inflammation, dis-ease is inflammation, is lack of prana, breath, life force, the maintainer, the sustainer, that we don't even need to eat. But that's a whole nother conversation. That inflammation is the rage within you, is the anger of your heart and soul, that the body is just trying to get you to wake the fuck up to the disconnect between your mind and your heart. The beliefs, the dogma, the brainwashing, the ignorance, ignoring the mind-body connection. That the spirit, your disconnect from Source and God is the spirit that you breathe every single moment. Conscious or unconscious, you're so disconnected. Most people can't breathe fully. And the more fully you breathe, the more quickly, the more you heal, you enrich, literally, enrich your life, your cells, your body. Brings you into the present, the gift of the now, the moment. Right here in this time. My prayer for humanity, for every single person out there, is to join with one another and stop with the labels, stop with the divide, stop buying into the bullshit. There is no race war. There is no gender bias war. No, you know what? That's been, it's been programmed into us. Us against them. Women versus men. Feminine versus masculine. Black versus white. Asian versus whatever. You know, it's all bullshit. We're all so freaking mixed interracially and culturally. Can you truly believe that you can look at someone and just determine that they are such? Now that's pure ignorance. Can we get out of the narcissism now? When you feel you have to label something, especially within yourself, that just shows you want attention. Why not communicate that? Hey, I need attention because I didn't get enough when I was a child. That's part of the awakening, is realizing, holy crap, all this stuff, all my acting out, my behaviors, they're all just unexpressed and repressed emotions that I've bottled up within, that I've been afraid to let others see, that I had to put on a mask to act. And yes, you can act any way you like. So why do we choose to act fake? Why do we fake the funk? If we're going to fake the funk, why don't we act the best instead of acting our worst? Because that's the irony of life. If you're going to be the star of your own show, your own story, your creative life that you get to live, and you get to design this. You create your story. Why would you choose the worst story ever? Because that's how you were taught? That's what you were told? Of course. We're all going through the same thing. Everyone's waking up in their time, and everything's perfectly divine. In divine time for you and me. Just like it should be. Not here to poke, provoke, or, wake someone up deliberately. People will just get poked and provoked and triggered as they need. We are all catalysts for one another. We are all each other's medicine. We are all artists, painting the canvas of this life, actors on our own stage, watching each other perform, playing out our roles. You can choose to change it at any time. And again, when you know the game, you know the rules, you can play it better. Or choose not to play at all. Because we all have that choice. We all have that choice. It's not a trick question. It really is not. The trick is the trick of the mind. The having to choose it all. Duality is a trap. You're choosing this or that. When in reality, both of them make up the whole. And that is my TED Talk for tonight. Get out in nature, take a walk, enjoy the creatures around you. Four-legged, two-legged, wings not slithering. The plants, everything's here for us. We created this. We are avatars of the One. Small expressions of the divine. No matter how you see it, it's all for you. choosing how you want to see it. And if you're waking up just now and you're noticing something's not right and you need help, reach out. Some of us are here for this reason. Some of us have been going through this all of our life, just waiting for this moment, training, preparing, knowing that one day someone was going to wake up and go, holy shit, I need support. I need help. I need someone to hold my hand. Why do you think I wanted to do the Women in Wellness this past summer? But unfortunately, social media has me silenced and shadow banned. I'm just saying, censorship is real. And what's unfortunate is I can't post in my own groups. My page, I think, has been unpublished, which I need to work on. And you can only reach so many people. And I feel that if I'm meant to reach you, you'll see this message and you'll reach out. So whoever out there has woken up, has been awake, I honor you. I see you. We're here to create the new. No more playing. Actually, yes, it's time to play. Childlike play. What would your inner child do? Before the world got a hold of you, you were limitless, you were fearless, you were curious and creative. Until the world got a hold of you and decided for you, told you what to think your limitations are, which you still don't have. It's only up in here. And it's time to switch off the programming and go back to connection to Source, knowing that your inner child would approach it with such wisdom. See, isn't that the irony of life? Many of us have reached an age of wisdom, of experience integrated into our lives, that we realize that everything we knew as a child comes back to us. It's almost like you get this whoosh, hello, I realize I knew this. And now I'm unlearning everything I had to learn along the way to get along in this world. But as you integrate the inner child and the inner wise woman or man, you can recognize that we are infinite. Infinite within, infinite without. As above, as below, as within, as without. It's all mirrors, it's all reflections. We can do whatever we want if we choose. Again, duality is a choice. Duality is also the trap of this existence. It's a paradox. It really is. And that's part of the game of this matrix. And it's kind of cool if you think about it. Because all this time we've all thought we had to choose the good or the bad, right? Or the right or the wrong, or the plus or the minus, or the true or the false, the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine. They're all parts of the whole. When you deny one, you deny the other. When you choose one, you deny another. When you reject one, you reject the other. It's a crazy, crazy concept, if you can wrap your head around it. And maybe I sound like I'm talking in circles for some people. It really takes some sitting with, some serious meditation. It takes the going within, not going without. Nobody can do it for you or tell it to you. I can tell you all I want. I'm just speaking from my personal experience. But there are those of us out here who knew, who know, have known that we were here for this reason, to support one another, to create new communities, to create new systems, to return heaven on earth, to put the sparkle back in everything, to shine brightly, to play like you did when you were a child. Who said just because you get older you can't still play? Rainbows and butterflies, baby. It's all magic. It's all miracles. It's just in how you approach it. You're a master manifester. You have to remind yourself sometimes. You're not finite. You're infinite. Infinite. So, happy Saturday night. I love you all. You all deserve the best. You are worthy. You are enough. Many sweet blessings from my heart to yours. Sweet dreams. Good night. God bless.